breaking news coming in as far as vaccination is concerned, where the COVAXIN trials for children will begin in the next 10 days of time. This has been announced by the government. This will be for children between the age group of 2 to 18 years. There has been news and updates coming in as far as COVAXIN's trial for children is concerned. And now there is news coming in and confirmed by the government authorities themselves that the COVAXIN trial for children will now begin in the next 10 days of time. This has been announced by the government themselves. In fact, we have seen as to how several attempts have been made so far. So far, the vaccination policy lies for the age group between 18 to 44 and above. For more on this, let's go across to my colleague Niranjan as well, joining us over the phone line. Niranjan, please share more of the COVAXIN trials for children that will now begin in the next 10 days. Certainly an encouraging news.
Well, yes, this is big detail, big update coming in that COVAXIN trials will begin in 10 to 12 days. This is trials on children between the ages of 2 and 18, and also the phase 2 trials. So this is a big update. We knew that earlier. COVAXIN was cleared. COVAXIN was cleared for trials in second and third phase trials for children. And for the first time, I think the government is giving some sort of a timeline to it, because that's one of the biggest questions ahead of us, ahead of an impending third wave, and the impact it could possibly have on children who will be the only ones without having been vaccinated. So this is a key update because now this seems like we have a timeline in mind, and this would mean that now all of us will get some sort of a clarity about when this vaccine should be available for children as well. So the first point, of course, COVAXIN trials will begin in 10 to 12 days. This is particularly trials on children between the ages of 2 and 18, and also phase 2 trials. And let me tell you that these trials are expected to be conducted in study aspects, and they will study aspects like the safety of the vaccine in this age group of children between the ages of 2 and 18. The kinds of adverse reactions they could cause, as well as the ability of this vaccine to prompt an immune response, especially in children. Now, as far as Bharat Biotech is concerned, they were given permissions to test COVAXIN on children. It's a big milestone for vaccine development in India. I think Dr. Shashank Joshi is on the phone line of the Maharashtra COVID Task Force. Let me go across to him. Dr. Shashank Joshi, we had some clarity on the timelines of this COVAXIN trials on children. The government says the COVAXIN trials will begin in 10 to 12 days. This is trials on children between the ages of 2 and 18, and phase 2 trials. So now, in your experience, because the only question that people have on their minds, Dr. Joshi, and you've been on many such panels, they want to know when vaccine will be ready for children. So if trials will begin in 10 to 12 days, can we safely draw a timeline, a tentative timeline?
See, it is very difficult to predict a timeline. But one thing is that we are starting and commencing trials. I think nowhere in the world 2 years has been included. Most trials have been between 7 to 15 years. So I think the first thing is it's a killed vaccine. From a data safety monitoring board perspective or a safety perspective, a killed vaccine, and children are able to handle vaccines right from their birth. So they have a robust immune response as well. So I don't see a challenge with the COVAXIN. It's a very welcome step, and I'm reasonably certain that they will have some interim endpoints at which, after probably a month and a half or 3 months, if they meet some endpoints, they might be able to come to some decision for an emergency use authorization like they did last time. And, it's a robust vaccine. It is a killed vaccine. It is relatively straightforward to understand its mechanism and the biological way it generates the neutralizing antibodies. And we know that, the third wave could have a pediatric impact. We also know that children can be spreaders and super spreaders, particularly if schools have to be opened up. So from all those standpoints, I think this is a very welcome step. And I think you should at least be able to get some results in 3 months from the time of commencement. At least some interim results we'll be able to get.
3 months, okay. Okay. So now, how important is it while we stay on the story? Now, it's not enough to underline how critical it now becomes for us to vaccinate children, and most experts are talking about it. You think when we're through with this vaccine for adults, especially, and our entire focus should be on completing vaccination for children next, as and when these approvals come in.
Absolutely. I think we have to vaccinate the most vulnerable population first. And that's itself a huge target. And we need those 2 billion doses in the adult Indian population, at least by the end of the year, which is what mostly we should be able to maintain that commitment with the large capacity which we have. But we, at the same time, cannot, see, it's still the last mile we can't get, COVID under control. And therefore, this pediatric step is also very important. And because of that, we are generating data. So this is a step in absolutely the right direction. It is a foresight, and I think it has to be done. And I think the process has started, which is a very welcome sign.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Joshi, for speaking to us. We look forward to speaking to you once again later. Dr. Sunil Kumar is also joining us on the phone line. He's the Director General for Health Services, Government of India. Dr. Kumar, there's some sort of a timeline that we have now on the trials on COVAXIN for children, that they will begin in 10 to 12 days. You're a representative of the medical fraternity within the government. Is there a timeline that perhaps the government may have, or what is the approximate timeline that such a process will take, Dr. Kumar?
Yes, it will take some time because the required number of the events has to be registered. The required number of the people have to be the candidates have to be given vaccine, and then we have to see as to in how many number of patients the problem occurs and or does not occur. No, the other way around. So that's how we have to generate the data, and it does take time. Approximately about 2 months to about 3 months. Maybe I think so. That's happening.
Right.
Hello?
Yeah. You're saying 2 to 3 months for the trials?
Yes. That's what I think.
Okay.
It's to begin now.
So we're in the month of May, and if they begin in 10 days, that means June, July, and perhaps by June, July, and August, when all adults, when there will be vaccines for adults in abundance in the market, we're hoping that's when it will be available. And your estimate is that, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, you wanted to add to that?
True, I see.
Okay. Is there a plan, Dr. Kumar? Can you hear me, Doctor? Is there a plan that the government may have on vaccination for children? I mean, I'm sure. I mean, are they deliberating on it already? Is there a plan, or is there a plan that that will evolve? What is your sense?
Well, we are evolving in the right direction and proactively taking the steps as we believe that the problem may be arising or problem may be coming up, and so considering all the future, all the probability, we are keeping our options open, and so that we can meet the eventuality.
Okay. Dr. Kumar, thank you for speaking to Republic TV. I think we have Dr. V.K. Paul also at that news conference where this announcement was made. Let's play out that soundbite. I'm handing it back to you.
रिस्पॉन्स में वही काम करने हैं जो हम और साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी ने हमेशा एम्फेसाइज किया है। अपने आप को बचाना है कोविड अप्रोप्रिएट बिहेवियर से, मास्क लगाना है, और 10 साल 11 साल वाले बच्चे भी जो उनको भी इनकरेज करना है कि वो भी मास्क लगाएं, वो भी डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करें, सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग मेंटेन करें, वही चीज़ें करनी है। और भारत सरकार ने कुछ हफ्ते पहले बल्कि बच्चों में अगर कोविड विजिबल होता है, बीमारी दिखती है, तो जो करना चाहिए उसका प्रोटोकॉल ऑलरेडी हमारे वेबसाइट पे है। साफ सुथरा, क्लियर कट, साइंस ड्रिवन, एविडेंस ड्रिवन protocol is already available, and that should be followed. Should the children have these symptoms. और ये अनकॉमन है कि सीवियर डिजीज हो, लेकिन हो तो उसको भी समझाया गया कि कैसे टैकल करना है। इसके अलावा जो कोवैक्सीन है हमारा वैक्सीन, उसको परमिशन दी गई है कि वो बच्चों में आप ट्रायल आगे लेके जाएं। उस वैक्सीन के अभी ट्रायल जो है वो 18 से ऊपर का हुआ है, इसलिए वो रिकमेंडेशन 18 के ऊपर की है, लेकिन बच्चों में ये इस्तेमाल हो और उसमें क्या रिस्पांस है उसका भी उनको ट्रायल की परमिशन मिली है, और वो काम मुझे बताया गया है कि अगले 10-12 दिन में ये काम भी शुरू हो रहा है। तो उस तरफ भी बढ़ रहे हैं